He was a film legend. Many feared a tragic end. I focus on courage. I'm Sarah Reed, and this is the truth of Val Kilmer's last chapter, told with care. Val Kilmer died on April 1st, 2025, at age 65. He was the Iceman in Top Gun and Jim Morrison in The Doors, a Juilliard-trained actor who made complex work look easy. People expect scandal. I don't. I built this from confirmed reports and family accounts shared with outlets like the Associated Press, Reuters, and Time. The story is simple and human. His final moments were private and dignified. What really happened in those last days? Here's the path we'll follow. First, the career that made him a star, then the illness that changed everything, then a quiet farewell, and finally, the legacy that will outlive all of us. Along the way, I'll show you why the man behind Iceman mattered just as much as the character. You're watching Golden American Legends, where we honor the art and the human being. Which Val Kilmer role defined his career most for you? Think on it as we start at the beginning, because the first clue to his final days sits in the roles that made him unforgettable. Here's what always struck me first. Presence. That cool, contained power that fills a room. Val Kilmer could do that. In the 1980s and 90s, he stamped his name on film history. He was Iceman in Top Gun in 1986, a rival who became a brother in arms. He dove into The Doors in 1991 and did his own singing. He turned Doc Holliday in Tombstone in 1993 into a folk legend. And yes, he wore the cape in Batman Forever in 1995. He later said he disliked the role, but he still gave that gruff charm that kids like me grew up imitating. I remember watching Tombstone on a scratched DVD and thinking, this is how you make lines live. That was his gift. He made difficult choices look simple. Time later called him a generational talent. Even when the camera closed in, he stayed relaxed, teasing depth out of the smallest look. That's the craft you can't fake. But here's the turn. Just as the world saw the legend, another story started in private. Off-screen, his biggest role was not a character at all. It was a fight, and it would change his life and his voice forever. Let me take you there next. It starts with a quiet sentence no one wants to hear. In 2014, doctors told Val Kilmer he had throat cancer. From that day, the script changed. He went through radiation and chemotherapy. In 2015, surgeons performed 2 tracheotomies, a procedure that places a throat breathing tube so a person can keep air moving when the airway is blocked. He kept much of this private. He leaned on faith, on love, and on stubborn will. By around 2017, doctors said the cancer was in remission. The disease eased, but the cost was real. I think about him walking into a follow-up visit, feeling the weight of cameras he could no longer see. Not paparazzi, memories, roles, fans. The life of a working actor runs on breath and voice. Cancer does not care about that. It just takes. He did not turn his struggle into a circus. He turned it into a path. One step, then another. One treatment, then another. He kept working. He kept creating. He kept showing up. But the battle left a mark you could hear. The voice that launched so many lines would never sound the same. That change shaped everything that came next. Here's the hardest part for any actor: speech taken away. The tracheotomy surgeries in 2015 changed Val's vocal cords for good. Speaking became soft, raspy, sometimes only a whisper. In public, he used a voice app on his phone. At home, he mixed writing, gestures, and patience. Still, he refused to vanish. Time wrote that he remained a persistent presence in our cultural memory. I saw that too. He picked up a guitar, he wrote, he painted, he found new forms when the old ones fell away. And in Top Gun Maverick, the sequel that pulled so many of us back to that first jet roar, his son Jack helped bring Iceman's voice to life so the character could speak once more. Father and son, bridging a gap that illness carved. That moment landed like a hug for fans. It said, I am still here, even if I sound different. I think about how brave it is to keep showing up without the thing you once relied on. That is not ego, that is love for the work. But Val did more than keep working. He turned the camera around and let us see the person, not just the star. That's where we go next. This part feels like a letter he wrote to all of us. In 2021, Val and his family released a documentary simply called Val. It was made from his own tapes and home movies pieced together across decades. His son Jack narrated. The result was raw and tender. You see the early auditions, the jokes on set, the heartbreaks, the mistakes, and the quiet courage after cancer. Critics called it poignant. I call it a gift. It lets Val tell his story even when his speaking voice had changed. I love how the film holds contradictions without apology. He was exacting and playful, he craved big roles, and also longed to be a dad at home. He was famous and also just a man in a living room sorting old tapes. That honesty cuts through myth. It shows the artist who never stopped caring about the craft, even when it hurt. If you value careful, respectful storytelling, please subscribe, like, and share. It helps more people find stories told with empathy. After Val, he stepped back from the spotlight again. And then, quietly, his journey came to its final scene. Let's walk there with the same respect he showed us. April 1st, 2025. Grief mixed with peace. Val Kilmer died at 65 in Los Angeles after a medical complication that many of us know too well. It was pneumonia, a lung infection. Reports from major outlets and family accounts matched on the core facts. There was no drama, no public spectacle. He passed in a private setting, the way many families hope it can be, with the focus on comfort and love. I picture the room as quiet, a hand held, a look shared, breath slowing. For a man whose art depended on breath, the symbolism aches, but it also feels gentle. He had fought the hard fight years before. This was a closing, not a battle. The timeline matters here. Born December 31st, 1959, decades on screen, a health struggle beginning in 2014, and then this final day in spring. The confirmation of pneumonia as the cause cut off rumors fast. It gave space to grief. It kept the focus on the person. Now that we have the facts straight, we can talk about how the world responded and why their words sounded different this time. First, the official record, not the rumor mill. This is where I draw a clear line. We honor the record. The Associated Press and Reuters reported the same core detail. Val Kilmer passed at 65 and the cause was pneumonia. Time echoed that, noting his daughter Mercedes confirmed it. There was no evidence of anything else, no scandal to tease, no conspiracy to feed. When the family and trusted outlets close ranks around a simple truth, I listen. It is not only about accuracy, it is about respect. Fans often tell me they are tired of clickbait about disturbing details. I am too. The man gave us his life on film. The last thing we owe him is care with the facts. So here they are, plain and humane. A natural illness, a peaceful setting, loved ones nearby. That is the whole story of his passing. The rest is grief, memory, and gratitude. With rumors set aside, we can hold the part that matters most to the people who knew him best. He was not alone. He was held close. And after the room fell quiet, the world outside began to speak with love. Let's go there. Not alone. That is the phrase that comforts me most here. Reports say Val Kilmer was surrounded by family and close friends when he died. His daughter Mercedes and his son Jack were there for him in life, and they remain to carry his name with grace. His former spouse and mother of his children, Joanne Wally, has long shared that devotion to their family. This was a private goodbye. No cameras, no stage, just the people who knew his laugh, his quiet, his stubborn streak, and his heart. I keep thinking about hands. The hands that wrote notes when speaking hurt, the hands that held guitar strings when words felt far away, and then the hands that held his near the end. That is how I hope any artist leaves the world, not under lights, under love. Those details may feel small, but they matter. They push gossip to the edge and bring the human story to the center. And when the room emptied, tributes filled the space outside. Colleagues stepped forward, friends wrote public notes. One voice rose in a way only he could. You probably know who I mean. Let's listen. The industry paused. At CinemaCon that April, Tom Cruise led a moment for his Top Gun brother. He called Val a talented actor and a cherished friend who deeply loved movies. You could feel the room hold its breath. Other voices followed. Directors, co-stars, and peers posted memories and thanks. Names like Michael Mann, Josh Brolin, and Francis Ford Coppola shared how much his work meant to them. Fans echoed the same two threads again and again: his diverse roles and his bravery in fighting illness. I watched those posts roll by and thought, this is what a legacy sounds like in real time. Not a single note, but a chorus. People remembered the craft, and they remembered the courage. That blend is rare. It is earned. Tributes are not the end of a story. They are a bridge. They connect grief to meaning, and they remind us why we loved the work in the first place. Once the industry spoke, the question became, how should we talk about Val from here on out? Do we repeat the pain, or do we protect the light? I know the path I choose, and I think many of you do too. I hear you when you say, please keep it respectful. I feel the same. When a star dies, the internet can drag us toward rumor and shock. But the best journalism did not do that here. The Associated Press and Reuters kept to the confirmed facts. Time placed his life's work alongside the news of his death. That choice matters. It shapes how we all remember. I won't chase gore or gossip. I will choose the story that honors the person and the art. Val Kilmer gave us decades of work. Then let us see his private fight without asking for pity. He deserved the dignity he received at the end, and he deserves it now. So we hold two truths at once. His final chapter was quiet, and his impact is loud. We can carry both. When we do, the noise falls away, and the human story remains clear. With the tone set, let's step back and look at the legacy itself. What lasts after the headlines fade? With Val, there is so much that still breathes. This is where I always end up with Val. The work still sings. Time called him a generational talent who made complex performances look deceptively easy. Watch Iceman again and see how stillness carries weight. Watch Jim Morrison and catch how the voice and body blend as one. Watch Doc Holliday and feel a man wasting away and still sharper than everyone in the room. That range is rare. It is why new fans keep discovering him every year. His illness did not erase that. If anything, it reframed it. We look back and notice the control, the breath, the precision. We sense the training from Juilliard and the curiosity that never stopped. And we see a person who kept creating after his voice changed, who let his son help bring a beloved character back, who opened his archives so we could meet the man. Legacies are not just awards or box office. They are the echoes people carry. With Val, the echoes are courage, craft, and grace. That is what I'll remember. That is what I hope we pass on when we show his films to the next generation. There is one more lesson in this, and it is personal. Here's what his last years taught me. Courage can be quiet. Creativity can adapt. Even heroes are human, and that is not a letdown. It is the point. Val Kilmer faced cancer and the loss of his speaking voice, yet he kept making art. He made a film about his life from the tapes he saved. He found new ways to speak when his voice changed. Time wrote that he retained wit and grace and that he appreciated the enduring affection of audiences. I felt that in every late career appearance. This is also about how we honor people while they are here. Val did not ask us to pretend everything was fine. He asked us to see him as he was and to value the work for what it tried to do. That is a generous act. It lets us be honest about pain and still celebrate beauty. If you ever lose something central to who you are, remember his example. Find another door. Ask for help. Keep the promise you made to your younger self. That is how a legacy outlives a body. That is how an artist keeps breathing long after the credits roll. We set out to clear the fog, and we did. The record is simple and respectful. Val Kilmer, a screen icon who gave us Iceman, Morrison, Doc Holliday, and so many others, faced cancer, lost his natural voice, found new ways to create, and passed in a private, loving setting. No spectacle, just grace. The official accounts match, the family's word holds, and the tributes ring true. This is why I love doing Golden American Legends. We honor the art and the person, not the myth. If this story moved you, please subscribe, like, and share. It helps keep this space thoughtful and kind. Thank you for watching and for spending this time with me. I'll keep digging into the lives and work that shaped our culture, always with care, always with heart. I'll leave you with this. Iceman or Morrison? Tell me which Val Kilmer role moved you most and why. I want to hear your memory. I want to hear your why. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Sarah Reed, and I'll see you soon.